What is it us men love? Utes, cigars, fast cars, boats, outboard motors, a good gun, a good clean gun, knives. We love knives. We love to go to the mega store, Bunnings, hunting and fishing store. We like to go and look at certain things that apply to what we do when we're in the outdoors, but also the indoors. Men are crazy about barbecues. You go to a party, you don't see the woman flipping the steaks on the barbecue. It's a bloke doing it. Certain domains that us men like to do. We like to chop firewood. We will chop firewood for 3 to 4 to 5 years ahead because we know it's like money in the bank. That's what us men like. Different to women, quite different. But the biggest thing that us men really love is women. We just love women. We don't always say that, but we do. We don't tell them that. Hell no. No, we're cool, calm and collective, but we love women. Everything we do, even if we don't think about it, is to attract that perfect partner that can only possibly ever exist in this piece of jelly between our ears. Because after all these years, I've discovered that that perfect partner, she's living up there somewhere, not in reality. I stopped looking for her a long time ago and settled for a good friend. Someone who I would like rather than love. You've got to like the person you're with. But let's just think about that for a moment and think about that perfect woman that you've seen and you've gone after. And when you've got to know her and gone through all the stuff and get through the honeymoon period and bumping uglies together and all the things that couples do, and then you find out you're actually not compatible. She talks too much and drives you bananas, or she just doesn't like the things you like, and then contempt slowly creeps in. Either she has it for you or you have it for her, and suddenly it's all over and there's a broken heart. It's a pattern, isn't it? The old wandering eye, or as I like to call it, the Wandering Willy. Man, I've been afflicted with that my whole life. And the Wandering Willy, it wanders. It goes places it shouldn't go. And what it does is, it destroys families. It destroys relationships. It destroys friendships. It makes families become broken and dysfunctional. I come from one of those families. And when you grow up, and both your parents, can a woman have a Wandering Willy? Can you say the wandering fanny? I don't know. Shouldn't have said that probably. But if you come from a family of parents that do that, and even if you're not aware it's going on, like you can't see it, you don't see the other woman that your father might be banging, or the man down the road that mum's going to drop some bread off to and get something while she's there. If you don't even see that, you still feel it somewhere in here. And as you evolve yourself, you repeat the pattern because that's what you've grown up with. And then you are destined to do the same thing, have a dysfunctional family and break up and the rest of it. It's got chunks of protein in it that are floated up. It's a mix of cocoa, soy with protein. Oh, that doesn't taste that good actually. And creatine. It's got to be good for me though. Anyway, and you do the same thing, and I've done the same thing. Got the t-shirt, been there, done that. I would suggest to every man that struggles with Wandering Willy syndrome, spend a lot of time alone. That's what I've done for a lot of years. Live with yourself, by yourself, being comfortable in your own skin. So you're no longer having to feel like you've got to have someone there all the time. I take the shirt off. I've been to a funeral today. See Greg, who was on the Broadcheck Club, quite regular in the comment section. Some of you might have remember his comments. He passed away. So Greg suffered from diabetes. He was a good man. He was a creative man. He lived in Mapua. He used to do pirate days for the kids. He used to do hunting with a musket. He used to do all sorts of cool stuff. He was very theatrical. He was a good seamstress. Seamster? What's a seamstress? That's a woman. What's a man that sews? A seamster? Don't know. Someone tell me. I haven't got a clue. But he used to make these really cool uniforms. That's why I'm wearing a shirt and tidy black pants, because I went there today for his funeral. Great send-off. Sir Greg. I don't think Sir Greg ever had a wife. Like me, I never had a wife. I never got married. I guess I didn't trust the old Wandering Willy. Maybe not that. I think having seen what marriage is, and it's a great institution for a lot of people, but it really is a relationship between you and the government, not your partner, because it's a tax thing. You're tied in with a legal binding document together. And so when you decide that you've outgrown that person, or that person's evolved more than you have and left you behind, or you just aren't no longer compatible, because that happens, people change, people grow, you've got this legal document that binds you both together, and it's complicated, especially if there's children involved. So I never saw the need. I have committed to people, but I think commitment's a place in here, not on a piece of paper. That's only my thoughts. And remember, brothers and the occasional sister watching this, all of these thoughts on these topics I talk about, it's only my past experience in life, not necessarily correct or true, just only my truth. Might not be your truth, and that's okay. I don't mind being wrong either. I'm quite happy to be proven wrong on anything. So if there's anything I say, and you can prove me wrong, please do, because I'm open to it. My ego has shriveled up so much, it's a bit like my prostate. It went a long time ago. I don't care. I'm just about enjoying the moment and sharing stuff that I've found to be true for me. But it's not necessarily correct. And you don't have to be right all the time. In fact, you don't have to be anything. You don't even have to be well all the time. You can be whatever the hell you want, whatever you want. In fact, these days, you're even allowed to identify as what the hell you want. Currently, I'm identifying as a old, because 60s, I'm 60, so that's now old if you're 60. I'm an old, white, straight male. That's what I identify now. Who knows, I might change in the future. Might later on identify as being asexual. That's somebody who has no sexual feelings at all. Yeah, could happen. Can't imagine it, but who knows? So we meet this person that we fall madly in love with, we make this commitment, and then suddenly the cracks start showing. The little idiosyncrasies start to come out, the wee nuances and the things that you didn't see to begin with. And the first year, man, she was like, all the time, you got blowjobs and steak every day. You had a good time as a man. She was like, man, laying it on. And let's face it, is there a man watching this right now that never said no to a bit of the old, no? No, the old gobbies, we all love them, and if you don't, you're lying. It's just like the man that says, oh, I've never masturbated. Come on. So anyway, this happens, and then you've got all this past stuff that you've created. You've invested in a house together, or you've invested your time, and you've invested all these things, and suddenly the cracks are showing. You just can't get out of the relationship because you're tied in with all sorts of things. You might have kids, you might have bought a home together, you might have all these things, and you're realising, hold on a minute, this person's a fucking lunatic, but I'm stuck with them. What am I going to do? Am I going to just slowly like shadow ban them and not talk to them? Am I going to up front say, hey look, it's not working, we're just not compatible, I've discovered. And they're going to go and try and do all sorts of mad things, and it's not easy, it's painful and it's horrible, but it has to happen. It's like a rotten tooth, you can't leave it in there, otherwise it's going to cause you more pain. Eventually it's got to be extracted, it's got to be taken out. Same applies, eh? And it's painful and it hurts. So young men listening to this, tread carefully when you think about committing to somebody. Don't be too eager to play mummies and daddies and live in the same house. It's not a good idea. Sow your wild oats however you want to do it, but don't do too much pornography. Honestly, pornography's not good for you. It does spike your dopamine for a moment, but then it makes you addicted to that, and then you don't get to have the real true thing, which is engaging in somebody who's going to really show you the world, show you other things. I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about everything across the board. And so many young men just whack off to looking at their phone or something, and they never have relationships. And I know that because in Russia, they actually banned pornography for a time in different places because men were not engaging a woman and having relationships and having children. They were just using pornography to relieve themselves. And that's just fucking unhealthy. I don't think pornography is good. I'm not coming from a moral standpoint. I'm not from that. I'm just thinking psychologically. I think it could become addictive to some people. Lucky for me, when I was going through my fuckboy years, I was in Europe playing music, so I was able to have true flesh and blood woman every day. But if I hadn't been in that situation, having the high sex drive I had back then, I would have also been definitely a candidate to become addicted to pornography, because I was addicted to everything else, and I was addicted to women. I was a shocking womanizer. I didn't have a girlfriend for a long time. Well, I got my heart broken, and then I took the cure. And you men know what the cure is. You get your heart broken, what do? You go out and bonk yourself senseless. You just, it's the men this broken, painful feeling got inside yourself. But it doesn't work. You do it for a moment, you're with this girl, and then... Anyway, I want to tell you a story. I was in a club in Sweden. It was 1991. I was staying with my mate Arb, and we had been together in this flat. It was his flat and his girlfriend. I think about 6 months I spent there, and I was like testing the waters, and suddenly I was in this place where nobody knew me. I could be whoever the hell I wanted, and I was not a confident young man. I should have been, but I wasn't that confident with women. And here I was, 27 years of age, free, single, and this place was just loaded with just everybody looked like Miss World. Most of them had strawberry blonde or blonde hair or chocolate hair. But in this particular night, the nightclub was a woman with jet black hair and blue eyes, full lips, all the lady lumps in the right places. God, she had a go. I can still see it in my brain. She was a 10 out of 10. I wasn't qualified to even be looking at her. I'd class myself as a good solid 7 out of 10. She was a firm 10 out of 10. I'm looking at her thinking, oh my God, looking at this woman, and she looked back at me, and she did that thing the women do. They put their head down, flick their hair, look up at you, look down again, look up, look down. Oh fuck, it's a signal. I just suddenly said to myself, you know what? I'm not me. I'm this guy that's confident. I'm just going to go up to her. Went straight up to her and put my hand out. Hi, told her my name. I'm from New Zealand. How you going? Good to meet you. You're gorgeous. And she was like, oh, you speak English. I don't know how the accent was. Can't even remember. Sort of Swedish like that. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm from New Zealand. Yeah, land of many sheep and men and women. Not very many of those. I think at that stage there was only about 3.5 million back then. She says, oh, and we got talking. Can I buy you a drink? Sure, buy a drink. I'll get a whiskey, get her a cocktail. Of course she's expensive. I didn't have much money, but pretended I had plenty of it. Oh, fucking cocktail. That's my whole night gone there. Hope she doesn't ask for a second one. Anyway, long story short, we went back at her place. It's like I died and gone to heaven. I go into this nice apartment. Everything's got lady stuff everywhere. It's got that divine feminine energy. You go in there, it's just beautiful. Look around, oh my God. It's like you've landed in paradise. You're with a beautiful woman. She's got a beautiful bed. You know the sheets are all clean. You go and use her bathroom. Put the lid back down because you know she'll be pissed off. You leave it up. You wash your hands. Everything's clean. The windows like in a hotel. She's clean. She's a woman. Not like you. Not like a messy bloke. And finally you're in a bedroom after you've done the small talk and stuff. And everything smells good. And then you're in bed. And I'm looking at her. And... the feeling is just electric, isn't it? And you don't know each other. It's a one-night stand. You've got a few drinks on board. She's beautiful. She's got high cheekbones, these blue eyes, and these full lips. And she's just a beautiful, beautiful woman. It's like, oh, this is what I've always dreamed of. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to give her babies, and I'm going to protect her. I'm going to buy her a house. I'm going to give her the world. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be together forever, and I'm never, ever going to look at another woman. And then you're making love and you're there doing the old O face, oh. And she's like looking at you and you're trying to make sure she has her pleasure first and reach the height of her passion before you do. But you're 27 years of age and it's all over. I'm sorry. But then you're back into it again because you like that when you're 27 and you keep going and it's like going and going. And finally she reaches the height of her pleasure and then you're holding each other and then you look at each other and you don't know this person. You're like, who the fuck are you? So long you've shot your load a few times and suddenly you've kind of gone a bit cold on the idea of the marriage and the house and having to pay for the kids and all the rest of it. And you just look at the stranger beside you and you feel a bit weird. Light up a cigarette. Shere's a cigarette. You're sitting there smoking. It's a bit awkward. Dumpty-doo, dumpty-da. Anyway, promptly fall asleep. I don't know whether she did, but I did. Wake up the next morning and Mr. Wrigley, he's dying. He's back into it again. He's come awake. He's suddenly forgotten that feeling you had after you made love and he wants to do it all again. She wakes up looking fucking gorgeous. Her hair goes away. She's got no makeup on and she just got this perfect peach skin and these beautiful blue eyes looking at you. And you kiss her, and she kisses you, and it's all on again. It's like, oh, legs and arms everywhere, and suddenly you want to marry her, and you're going to love her for the rest of your life, and you're going to give her everything, and you make love, and then you reach the height of your passion together, and it's like incredible, and she's making noises like someone's been murdered, and you're holding her, and the neighbours upstairs can hear it, and the neighbours down below can hear it because you're living in an apartment in between, and then you finish, and then it's beautiful. You go and jump in a shower. You use her bathrobe, you come out, you feel all sexy like you're in a bloody movie. You walk on out, and there she is looking gorgeous in bed with her hair all up, and it's early in the morning. And you go out in her balcony, she makes you a coffee, you have a coffee on the balcony, it's magic. Sitting there, you're looking at her, but you don't know. So you don't know what to talk about. So you talk about stupid things like the weather, stupid things, the economy, stupid things that are totally not what you're thinking of. Because all you think of now is an exit plan because you don't really know what to do. In this particular case, I wasn't, because old Mr. Wrigley was already coming alive again, and the little man down there affects the brain up here. There's two heads. There's the little head and the big head. Now the little head, he controls the big head when you're a male. I don't care if you are a Buddhist or whatever you are, whether you're a devout Christian, your little head controls you. And don't tell me it doesn't, because it has. So you're out there on the balcony, and Mr. Wrigley's come awake again, and at that age there, you're walking around like you've got a cucumber in your pants. You just, all the time, it's hard. You just can't help it, can you? And she's now a bit standoffish. And she's being a bit standoffish to me. And I'm like looking at her, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe I wasn't that good in the sack. Maybe I'm not that cool. Maybe I'm out of my league. Maybe it was just because I was drunk last night. Maybe it's because she was drunk. So we've got not much to say now, and we've drunk our coffee in the veranda, and she's starting to like move differently. She's not all laid back and lying with things hanging out, and she's now starting to brush hair, and she's gone to the toilet, and she's had a quick shower, and you heard her do a pee, and she's come back out, and she's all like putting lipstick on, and she's got a uniform on. She's got to go to work, and God, she looks good in the uniform. It's like, holy shit, now she's even more spunky. She's just turned into this divine creature, and she's got this look about her that's like, oh my God, I definitely want to marry you, and I want you to have my children, and I will protect you, and I will pay for everything, and I will eat chips out of your knickers. You are just gorgeous. And she's got her makeup on, she looks more gorgeous, and she says, oh, you must go outside now, I have to lock up. Oh, okay, so I get my stuff together, sorry, yeah, and finish my coffee, and I'm outside the door. We're standing outside her door, and she locks it, and gives me that little kiss, the sort of kiss your mother gives you, the kiss you fucking hate. It's like the little small tight lip, like a little cat's arsehole kiss. It's like you're kissing the eye of a blinking rabbit. It's got nothing comes back, and there's no big hug. Okay, taxameka. Hold on a minute, slow down. I didn't get your number. Oh no, only one night. Sorry, your brain is not. This is what you've done in the past as a man. No, only one night. Sorry, just one night. No, not see you again. Not going to see you again. I was like. So like the rug had been pulled out from under my feet. You're using me for sex? I'm a man. That's my job. That's not. You can't do that to me. And then she's going down the stairs. Clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. And I'm sitting there with a broken heart and a big lump in my throat. I'm fucked. I've just had a reality check. I've just had done to me what I've done to women in the past, and now it's been done to me. And I can't handle it because I'm a useless, narcissistic male that has always just thought about his own needs and what not he's doing to other people. And I'm gutted. And I've got a big tight throat because I feel like crying. I'm not going to see her again. So I go home and my chest is tight. And I'm thinking about it and how gorgeous she was. I don't have a photo on my phone because we didn't have phones back then that made photos. I got a big brick. It's a big brick you can't take photos with. And I've got nothing from her at all except the smell on my clothes, which is not much because I had a shower. And I'm never going to see her again. So what do? I'm stupid. I go to the nightclub the following weekend in hopes to see her, hang around and look at girls. And I don't see her. She's not there. I'm never going to see her again. Reality check. It was just a nightmare. And I didn't know her, yet I'm now having to digest what I have done myself to other women. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me because it was like a kick in the nuts. It was like a, wake the fuck up, son, and stop treating people as if they don't have feelings. This is what it feels like now. This is what it's like to get hurt. Now, you would think that a lesson like that would be enough, wouldn't you? You would think that that would hit it home. And for a while, I behaved myself. But a leopard seldom changes his spots. He seldom changes his spots. And then as life progressed and I left Sweden and I became successful as an entertainer in Germany, where I played every night, I forgot about that experience. And I started having women just for my own pleasure. Yeah, they enjoyed it too. It was consensual. They were adults consenting. And I was always flat honest. I say, go nowhere. I'm just here for the fun. Don't want a relationship. I'd say it every time. But you know somewhere deep down they're hoping that they can change you, because women do that. And you know that, but still, you're at least saying the right stuff and acting the right way to get them where you want to go, which is ultimately in the sack. And I did this a lot, and I was a shocker. I was a womanizer, and there's no other way to paint it. I got a brother, Tristan, and he's a good man. Like, he's loyal. He got married to the same woman his whole life, and he was nothing like me. He was a good boy. I wasn't that guy. I was like, I don't know. I won't say anybody's name, but somebody else. And that's just how I was. And I couldn't change that. And it destroyed a lot of good relationships. I destroyed a lot of good relationships. And it took a long time to wake up. We don't really change, but we can change what we do. And we can change the way that we do shit. We can change the pattern. We can learn to exercise discipline and understand, just like this diet I've been doing for 2.5 years, which has arrested heart disease and started to reverse it. I know, just like that gorgeous woman, that I want to eat that piece of steak, or I want to eat that piece of mozzarella cheese, or I want to eat that hamburger. I want to eat those things that I know will damage my endothelium and give me heart disease back again. I know that, and so I exercise very firm with myself, and I am disciplined to the T. And it's the same with women too. I don't do that. I don't go there anymore. And anyway, I'm 60, so I've lost my value on the sexual marketplace. I'm not that man that had jet black hair anymore. I'm now that man that's got a head of skin. Anyway, sexuality is an energy, and it's not really a looks, is what I can say. Now, I want to take this vlog somewhere else, because the last vlog I did last night, it stirred up a lot of shit. I want to talk about the pandemic and how it was handled, and some of the comments. And as somebody who didn't get the MNRA, and who doesn't regret not getting it, I got a few comments on people that were on the other side of the fence, and I totally respect their comments. They were great comments, actually, and worth a read. I am always open to change anything, and I'm always open to be wrong. My point on the whole thing is this. Everybody should have the choice to put in their body what they want. Everybody should. And I'm not against pharmaceutical medication, but I am against pharmaceutical medication that hasn't been tested with large cohorts over a long period of time, with longitude studies and hard endpoints of the clinical outcomes, with meta-analysis, which is lots of different tests been run to find out what happens at the very end of it. Statins is a great example. Statins help you with your lipid panel. No question about it. But statins don't really work for women that well. There's not a lot of research you can find. And from all the research gathered, the meta-analysis shows that statins over your whole life will give you, on average, 4 days extra life. But they also have a lot of adverse effects. They can cause diabetes, they can cause muscle cramps, and a whole myriad of other things that we know. But still, it's the number one biggest selling drug in the world. And I think it's a bit of a conspiracy, when the right diet will do even better. And my own cardiologist said to me, and his words with us, and he's a great guy, don't get me wrong, I love him, he's a bloody good cardiologist as far as doing procedures and giving out medications. He knows his stuff. But I had an LDL of 5.8, and he said if you lived on a monastery all day and sucked lettuce, you'll get it down from 5.8 to maybe 5. 5.8 is fucking high. I was sick. Well, I did my research, and in 3 weeks of doing a whole plant-based diet, it went from 5.8 to 2.9. I halved it in 3 weeks. And as I sit talking to you today, it's 1.8. No statins, just diet exercise, sleep management, stress management. So I don't prescribe always. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it, but for me, no thanks. And as far as the mRNA vaccine goes, well, same applies. I think it's a great tool for elderly people with comorbidities or people with that might fall under that umbrella. The trouble with that is some people with comorbidities, it could actually trigger it more because it can speed things up. Without getting into the science of it, what I do know is that young people, and I've got a niece, my brother Tristan, his daughter Tessa, beautiful, beautiful young lady, 22 years of age, got her shots. Straight after it, got pericarditis. Pericarditis is when you have inflammation of the pericardium, which is the sac that's around the heart that it sort of sits in. And she had it for 6 months. It was debilitating. 22 years of age, healthy, and suddenly boom, just like that, straight after it. And there are many cases. We know they're documented. I don't think it's great for young people. I don't think it should be for children. They have robust immune systems. If they are on a good diet, if they're good nutrition, good exercise, they could handle it. In the very beginning of the pandemic, it was serious because we had 2 very serious strains. But the trouble that I have with this intervention is that the mutation is so rapid, the antigen, that the actual gene therapy, it's not really a vaccine is what a vaccine is. The gene therapy, it's basically, it cannot keep up because it mutates so quickly. So you really, there's a lot of questions around it. We weigh up between what's an adverse effect and how much good it does. And I have no doubt for some people, at the right timing, it's helped. COVID's a terrible thing. I've only ever had it once. I have a good immune system. I only have it once, and for 3 days I felt low. I felt quite depressed. And so it wasn't nice. But I know for some people it can kill them. So I'm not in any way saying it shouldn't be used. But I think there was a lot of mismanagement. I don't think always that ventilators have been ideal either. I think ventilators can cause oxidative stress because it's oxygen. And if you've been on a ventilator when you had COVID, comment below how much did it help you. Maybe it did, I don't know. These are only my opinions, and opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got them, and they're quite often full of shit. So I'm quite prepared to be wrong, but I would like to see what the long-term effects is of using something which constantly is boosting your immune system the way it does, because you've got to have boosters, and I can see that it can cause T-cell fatigue. I can see it can cause antibody dependence. And I'm very, very aware of the anti-nuclear capsid antibody that wanes in people over 50 that have had that therapy. Now, I am pro-vaccine. I get your vaccines when they're real vaccines. Meningitis, hepatitis, shingles vaccine would be a good one to get if you're over 60 particularly. I get a flu vaccine every year now since I've had cancer. I get a flu vaccine because I'm in that risk. So I'm not against the ones that are tried and true, but something that just comes out very quickly and rapidly, I want to know whether in 10 years' time it could cause something like Crohn's disease, or it could cause diabetes, because we just don't know. There's no science out on there. And I like to follow the longitude studies with the hard endpoints. That's my reason for not getting it. If you want to gamble that with your health, and I know it is a gamble, whatever we take, every medication in the world comes with some adverse effects, and it should be the rights of each person to choose for themselves. If you've made that, most of my children have all had the vaccine. That was their choice. I'm not arguing against it. It's just for me personally, and you choose for yourself, and you should have that right. Right, enough of that. Let's talk about killing animals, because that's one that is really, really interesting, and it's sparked a few things. I'm just going to pause for a moment and turn my computer on. Okay, the Brocheck Club is for men, but we do now, for some reason, I don't know why, we have been flooded with this feminine energy coming in here, and that's women. I don't know why they come in here, because it's a conversation for a bloke to men, but for some reason it seems to attract more women than I was hoping it would. But I'm not going to say to the occasional sister, get out of here, it's a man's room. But you sisters in here have to understand that there's a hell of a lot of testosterone in this room, and I am addressing men, I'm not addressing you. Now, one woman, Ange, Bless her, and she seems like a really lovely person, to be honest. She wrote a while ago that I'm going to have probably bad karma because I kill animals and they're sentient beings. And I agree, they are sentient beings, and it's really, really wrong to do it. So I'm going to have bad karma. I'll tell you a wee story about that. And by the way, Ange, and I know you're still here, she said, and I'm going to have to unsubscribe and no longer watch the channel. Well, that was like 3 videos or 2 videos ago, and you're still here, still putting comments, still flooding the comment section with your divine feminine energy, Ange. And you're very welcome, but you're also very, very wrong on what you're saying. And I'm not going to roast you, but I'm going to prove to you why you are completely wrong about this. And I'm not going to do it in a way to roast you. I just want to bring it to your attention. When I was on my other channel all the time, which I no longer am, I only do videos once or twice, well, every 2 months I put a couple up there, which is a big channel. I had a woman years and years ago in the UK. She had a little avatar, similar to yours actually, Ange. I think yours has got a dog in it, or is it a, I don't know, it's a dog or a cow or something. I think it's a cow actually, might be a cow. Nice. She had a little fluffy dog in hers, this woman. She was in the UK. And she loved the channel, she loved the music, and then she watched a hunting video, and she said, I'm sickened by what you do, going out killing pigs. I wrote back to her in the comment section, well, you know, we eat meat and we feed the dogs, and they're a pest that we've got to control. And she wrote below to me, I hope you get cancer. Anyway, a year later, I did get cancer. I got a bad cancer. I got 2 tumours that had required huge extensive surgery, and they were starting to spread, and I was going to also need to have radiation and more treatment. So I wrote back to her in an email, because I had her email, because she's on Google and she had an account. So I wrote back after I'd been through the operation and I nearly died of an infection and a whole lot of blood loss and horrific shit that went bad during the whole thing. I said, you'll be glad to know that your wish came true, I got cancer. And she wrote back to me, question mark, and then I pinned all of the stuff in the past. I did a screenshot and sent, remember this conversation? And I said, you'll be happy now, you're right, your wish came true. And she went, oh. And I said to her, by the way, I've noticed that in your avatar you've got a little dog, little fluffy dog. That's very cute. I'm going to make a sort of assumption here that you only feed it vegan dog food, which is actually not good for your dog on any level. And she went, no, I feed it pet food that comes from the shop. I said, pet food? We'd have this dialogue going back and forward. And I said, you mean pet food like in cans? And she goes, yes, and treats, and it gets a bone occasionally. And I went, whoa, stop right there. So you're now actually, but you're actually part of the problem. You actually have animals killed by somebody else so you can feed your dog. And she wrote, no, I buy it from the pet food shop. I said, yes, but where do you think it comes from? And we had this dialogue going back and forward. Today, she's one of my paying patrons. We've been friends ever since. She realised that a medium-sized dog, about 3 sheep a year have to die to feed it if you're feeding it a healthy diet. That's an estimate. About 3 sheep. Or 5 or 6 chickens, a few turkeys, 1 rabbit. It depends on what you're going to feed it, but animals have to die. Dogs are omnivores. The DNA of a dog from its nose right through its digestive tract right through to its anus is 0.2 the same of a wolf. A wolf is predominantly carnivore, although they will eat berries and a little bit of food occasionally, but predominantly they feed on big hooved animals and small game as well. That's what they need. They need a lot of protein, they need some fat, they need gristle, and the way they get their cellulose, their plant matter, is by eating the droppings of other herbivores. Other herbivores that do a shit, like a goat or a rabbit or a sheep, they'll eat those droppings. Or if they kill a herbivore, the first thing they'll do is they'll eat the gut content. Because the gut content has already been broken down by the herbivore and the dog can digest that. And from that, it also gets the microbiome fed, its own microbiome fed, and the microbiota, which comes from the breakdown that the animal's done with that. So that's how they get their vegetation, because they don't, They're unable to break cellulose down. Dogs don't have the same digestive tract as we do. They've got to have a herbivore to break it down. So that's how they get it. Now, let's go to the question section. I'm going to grab my phone. And I'm going to put the phone back because I've actually got it on portrait. That's why it's a better picture. But the trouble is you can't turn the screen around. So I'm just going to read it from here. And you guys can read these same ones. But I've got my laptop here. So I wrote, thank you for sharing. This is the Ange144. I said, thank you for sharing. If I was not hunting wild goats and pigs, what would you suggest that I feed my 4 dogs? This got really interesting, I thought. Ange wrote back, I've got a dog. Wow. You've got a dog, Ange? I'm blown away. This gets really interesting. I've got a dog. He eats biscuits, veg, fruit, and some meat that I buy for him. Some meat. Well, first of all, biscuits are not good for your dog, Ange. That's kibble, and that will stuff up your dog's digestive tract. Your dog needs protein, not kibble. Kibble is a filler that some people use occasionally, but it ain't good. And you will not have good joints. You will not have good coat. You've got to have those good oils. Okay. Veg. Veg cooked a little bit is okay. Broken down because a dog can't break it down. And fruit definitely is not need for your dogs. They can eat an apple, but they will just poo out apple. The only thing they'll get from the apple is the fluid. Don't give them apple seeds, though they can tolerate a little bit. And some meat. Some meat that I buy for him. Okay. Well, you know where this is going, don't you, Ange? And if you don't by now, well, somebody else would have figured it out. Some meat comes from an animal that somebody else, someone like me, has to do your dirty work to feed your dog. Your dog needs to have meat in its diet. It needs protein. You could go all out whole vegan, but that would be cruel to your dog. That would be a cruel thing to do. You would struggle to keep its protein up. It is doable, but it will cost you a fortune, and it's unnatural, and quite frankly, it's unethical and immoral to feed your dog that way. Your dog is predominantly carnivore. It can process some. It's more carnivore than omnivore, and the jury's not out on that one. There, some vets would argue that they're just strictly carnivore. Some would say omnivore. I would say they certainly do better on a carnivore diet. So anyway, you are hypocritical. Sorry, my dear, but you're hypocritical. You're actually taking it a step further. You're getting somebody else to do the killing so you can enjoy your little furry friend and feed it. Someone else is having to cut the throat of that sheep or put a bullet in that pig and kill it. Those sentient beings that you care so much about are dying, and more than one is dying every year to feed your dog. If it's a tiny wee dog, then it might be just a couple of chickens, but it needs quite a lot of meat, quite a lot. If it's a big dog, then a lot of animals are dying. So I want you to think about that and think about karma, because you told me I was going to have bad karma. I want you to think about your own karma, because you're knowingly doing that now. You've got a choice here. You can put your dog down and save a whole lot of animals being killed, or you can keep your dog and keep on killing animals and keep receiving the bad karma. You've got a choice to make. Either way, you've made the choice of keeping an animal that's reliant on you, can't live without you, and you are same as me, except I'm doing your dirty work, you're not doing your own dirty work. Okay? Now, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be smart about this. I'm trying to educate you and everybody else that's watching this. If you have a pet, a cat or a dog, then you're responsible for a lot of animals dying. If you've got a cat, then you're also most likely responsible for a lot of birds dying. A cat in its average life will kill up to 5,000 birds in the wild. A cat at home, well, if he's getting fed well, it won't be anywhere near that much, but a wild feral cat can kill that many. That's why we need to exterminate feral cats. That tastes like arse. I'm not going to ever get used to drinking that. So, you ladies that have given us your divine feminine energy on the Bro Check Club, welcome. But do remember, please, it's a man's domain, and it really is for men. And I have no problem with you unsubscribing if you want to hang around and join the fun and games. But also, if you're going to jump into our domain and talk about our things, which is hunting, a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, then we are going to come back with the logic in the argument as to why it is important. And this country here, it's really unfair and sad for so much of what goes on, because the animals that were introduced shouldn't be here. They really shouldn't have been here. This country was never ever designed to have the possum as a good example. The possum here is nothing like the possum in Australia, but it comes from Australia. Here it's got all this native bush, nothing to predate on it, and it just gets out of control. And it does huge amount of damage. Our native flora and fauna would be so much more diverse if it had just been left. If man had never come here, the Haast eagle would be flying around still and feeding on the giant moa. But the giant moa got obliterated, and then that got hunted to extinction, and then the Haast eagle lost its food source, and it died out. So we've done a huge amount of damage, us human beings. We've buggered it up. Now we're trying to just patch it up, but really we're just like putting a tiny sticking plaster on a great big gaping wound that can never really heal again because it's too late. And the government wanted to make this place predator-free by 2050. Ain't ever going to happen. And the reason it ain't going to happen is because rats, you're never going to get rid of rats. They'll be here long after we're gone. The best we can do is keep the pressure down to give our native species a chance to survive and do our best. Anyway, that's the Bro Check Club today. Bit of a long-winded rattle. And as always, brothers and the occasional sister, these are only my views and they're not necessarily correct. I keep on punching that one home. And I love it if someone can prove me wrong. I love it. And you've got to do it with science. I don't want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your opinion back with science. You're having to swallow my opinion and I'm not posting science because I'm just a lazy bastard. And it's not really a deal to me whether I have said something that's wrong or not. And I could be led down a path if you could give me a whole lot of science and I could turn around and go, hey, I was wrong. And I would love that to happen. I would love to be proven wrong on everything because that's the only way I'm ever going to grow. I'm always open to hearing why I'm wrong and seeing all of the science that backs it, the whole lot. Love that. I've done it. I've turned 180 degrees round. I used to be virtually on the carnivore diet or the ketovore diet, and now I'm a whole plant-based eater. I changed. And I'm prepared to change again if I have to. I'm only following the science where it takes me. And if you can convince me something otherwise, I will change again if I can see the science. What I do know is I'm here, I'm alive, still kicking, still got a pulse, and still punching out these videos for the fun of it. And they are fun. They really are. Anyway, go sturdy, brothers. If you know a brother who's struggling in any capacity, any way at all, reach out to him and take the time. Take the time. If you've got a brother who's been acting a bit different lately, a bit strange. We're living in a fucked up time right now. It's a weird time right now. We're on the brink of World War III if it hasn't already started. We've got an economy here that's rubbish in New Zealand, so it's hard. You've got to work long hours to try to get the same just to pay your mortgage and everything. We've got all these ridiculous blooming new woke rubbish going on with... I feel sorry for young people trying to work out who the hell they are in a world. Just imagine, I don't want to push the thing. You can be what the hell you want. I couldn't care less. If you identify as being a giraffe, that's okay. And you're welcome to sit at my table and eat giraffe food at my house. If you want to be a giraffe, you can be a giraffe. I don't care. You can be a woman if you're a man. I understand there's men that feel like they're trapped in the wrong body and that they're a woman. I could imagine what that's like because I love women, and I could imagine if I'd been born with breasts and a vagina and I had these feelings that I've got right now, I would feel like I was trapped in the wrong body. Lucky for me, I was born with a thing that hangs down there and it matches what's in my head. That's just my luck. It must be horrible to be born feeling something different. And what I will say is that if there was, say, an island and it had like 20 gorgeous women on it, on this island, and on that island there was maybe like 5 men, and I was one of them, woohoo, in my dreams, and I was a young man, and we were left on that island. Probably in 100 years there'd be people still living on that island if it was big enough for the food and that. But if there was like 20 beautiful women and 20 transgender men that were actually women who changed over to men, in 100 years everybody would be dead. There'd be nothing left. It wouldn't work, would it? Because it just doesn't work. You've got to actually have the bits down there. So to really be 100%, I don't think you can be. Only my thoughts. I could be wrong and I could be proven wrong. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a bloke getting pregnant next month and that'll go out the window. And I'll look silly, won't I? But for now, I think the way things are is it's all a bit silly. Okay, go steady. Look after a brother. If you know a brother who's struggling, don't be afraid if you're struggling in any capacity to just let someone know. You don't have to talk about all your feelings. You don't have to tell them shit. Just have to say, look, I'm going through a kind of a time right now, man. I feel like shit. I'm going through a bad time. It's horrible. I feel like crap. You don't have to say why. You don't have to say what it is that you're fearful of or what you might be ashamed of or what it is that's hurt you back then when you were a child. All you have to say is, I'm not well right now and I need a bit of help. That's all you need to say. It's okay to not be okay. It's all right to not be okay. You don't have to beat yourself up for not being okay. In fact, all of us at some point are not okay. I've spent a good deal of my life being not okay, fighting for my life for different things. And you come right again. But you can't do it alone. You've got to have support around you if you're struggling. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. No man is an island. So reach out. We men have the highest suicide rate. We men have the highest... We die sooner than women. We don't live as long. We do the high-risk jobs. We struggle a lot more when we break up with our partners. Women, they bounce back. We don't. We struggle. Women do pretty bloody good. They have their female friends. They have a cup of tea. They talk about it. And generally, they're pretty bloody good. I know men that have broken up that have nearly wanted to top themselves. They don't do it so well. We don't do it so well. We're not as big and robust and tough as we make out we are. We're just a bit soft on the inside. So if you know a bloke is struggling, keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him. If you know a young bloke or an old bloke, any bloke, don't be afraid to ask the hard question. Don't be afraid to hit them with the hard question. Hey mate, have you thought about taking your life? If he has, then you need to put a plan in place for him. Call a psych team. Get somebody professional out there to help him out. Always ask a hard question. You know, I asked a bloke that once and he just broke down and cried. That's all the answer I needed. He didn't tell me. Got on the phone, called the psych team. They went out and saw him. Today he's got a really, really good job and he's got a new partner. And every time he sees me, he gives me a big bro hug. He says, love you, man. And I know if I don't see him for a couple of years and I see him, I'll still get that big bro hug. He'll still love me. And that's because I asked a hard question. It made a difference to him. It made the biggest difference. Just asking the hard question. So, anyway, this video started off about the Wandering Willy. And if you've got a Wandering Willy, keep it in check. Because it'll screw up more than just the person you're mucking around with. It'll screw up a whole lot of other things as well. Try and keep it in check. I know it's hard. But, you know, go and rub one out somewhere if you see her and you've got a wife somewhere. Don't do it. Or if you really, really have to, then be honest about what you're doing. Be honest, because sooner or later the truth will come out and it'll be more painful. But try and be a man, you know, it's difficult. I know how hard it is because I've struggled with it. I've finally got it under control. It's taken a lot of years. I've had it under control really for quite some time now, but it's not easy. It's a tough one and it buggers up lives. I don't think I'm going to drink all that. It tastes horrible. Anyway, brothers and the occasional sister, I'm out of here. It's been 48 minutes and it's nearly 49 minutes. That's a long one. Straight off the top of the phone. Catch the next Bro Chick Club video and have a great weekend. See you later.